Okay, today I have another old calculator I found. It's a Toshiba BC-0802. It's got flathead screws in it, which is pretty rare for Japanese stuff. I assume it's made in Japan, yes. What's this? ISO screws, 15 watts, 240 volt, 50-60 hertz. Be sure to use the attached Toshiba silicone cloth to clean the case of the machine. Never use benzene, alcohol, oil or kerosene, etc. Well, I just used a bit of alcohol on it to get rid of a old price tag. Now, it's only got a pretty small display on this one, with quite a gap between them by the look of it. Overflow, what should that be on? I can never remember these switches after time. Clear, CI. Well, that seems good enough. I'm not sure what the difference between C and CI is. These keys don't feel the greatest. Well, it seems to work. Got a negative. Oh, that's probably to say that you're in negative mode, is it? I don't know, in subtraction mode or something. Yeah, that all seems to work. What haven't I done? Oh, we've got plus 23. Whoops, that didn't clear it out, did it? Why is that button a bit dicky? Oh, is that just, I don't know, sometimes actually that buttons, they're getting feeling worse as I go, so that's interesting. This is quite a dirty keyboard, and it's got some sort of like varnish or something on there. Yeah, I have to say that's pretty worn out, this one, so I think it's either got dirt and dust and stuff in there, or it's had a lot of work and someone's worn the keys out a bit. I doubt they're the original screws, but they might be. Interesting to know. Oh, got one more at the back. Hidden away there. Does that make any difference? That feels like something up there. It's pivoting above that screw, so yeah, it's just got to probably slide whatever that screw was screwed into up. Oh man, that is tight. It doesn't feel right. Oh, the other thing is take the knobs off. Yeah, well, they held on rather well. Oh, look at these. They're like all like separate little Nixie tube type things. So this is quite old, I would guess. I doubt there's anything to say the date on it. Brand capacitors are those? Barum? I don't know, something like that. Oh, these are Hitachi caps. Yeah, well, they're cool little displays, I must say. A long time since I've seen individually done ones, and that's why they're so far apart. They still could have mounted them a bit closer, I guess. God. Yeah, normally it was Nixie tubes in that sort of package, but I have seen these fluorescent displays in those packages before, but that was a long time ago. And that's the transformer, obviously. What is that? A bridge rectifier, maybe? Oh no, the neutral goes into that. Active, I assume, comes across. The switch has got black wires. Go down under somewhere. Oh no, this has got flat blade screws holding the keyboard in, so I think they're factory. Another couple of flat blade screws on the switch. So yeah, it's rare in Japanese stuff. I can't remember the last time I saw Japanese stuff with flathead screws in it. Other than some maybe weird sort of spot for some particular reason, but not as the usual screw type. But the switches have Phillips head on them, so who knows, maybe this is even earlier, like a 70s or something calculator, so that's not There's a screw thing there. Why isn't that? Maybe I ought to take this. Well, the switch has got Phillips screws on the sides of it. It's held to the bracket with flatheads and to the case with Phillips, so that's a bit weird. So that can help that come up. I don't know, it looks like, oh, it is. Better make sure I've got the power off. Almost looks like cast, but it is definitely PT240 on the transformers. They've got a fuse. Nice long connector there. Oh, the keyboard's on a, not an edge connector, well, sort of an edge connector. Oh wow, reed switches. Now that's cool, but I don't think I've ever seen a keyboard with the reed switches out in the open like that. So there's a little magnet going up and down. They used to be mounted in some of the computer keyboards, but up inside you had quite a tall switch with the keycap on it, and if you actually broke them open or pulled them apart, you would find a reed switch in there. But I think what these probably need is like these little slots they go up and down in greasing or something. It looks like it's got old grease on it. Yeah, it does. Look at that. And I'll bet it's as sticky as it feels like it is. So that might be all that needs, is just a re-grease. Yeah, it's gone sticky. Huh, cool old keyboard that is. But that would explain why it's difficult to use. What have we got on this board? I guess I should be a bit careful with it, with static and stuff, but a T304 Toshiba. 3084 I should say, 3084, 3084, 3084, so I assume there's some sort of buffers for the displays maybe. And a TMS 01, better read it the right way around, TMS 0105 NC. Look at that, it's got Toshiba there. I'm pretty sure they've, because TMS should be Texas Instruments or something. It looks like they've scraped a Texas Instrument. Okay, I quickly pulled one of these keys off, and it's just fitted on with one of the usual sort of cross things in there that just pushes on. You just got to wobble it around a bit to get it off. Comes with a spring attached or loose in there, and you can just get these little pieces of the keyboard out, or keypad as it really is, I guess. And yeah, there's some pretty dried up grease on there, so might have a go at a couple of these, but really it wants the whole keyboard stripping down, I think. And every key cleaning, the little slots they go in cleaning. Yeah, you can see this horrible greeny stuff coming off it. Some of that might even be where it's corroded into the brass a bit, but there's a coating of some horrible dried up grease there, and probably full of dust and God knows what. Over the years, I did look these up online, and they're late 71 I think they came out, so really a 1972 sort of calculator. So I don't know if they'd invented like combined displays back then, or whether they was this using of separate little fluorescent units was a thing. So this, I mean, another reason to get these keys all off is to give every single one of them a clean, and clean this back plate. I mean, there's probably some risk of breaking something doing it, is the only problem, but if I can clean out all these little holes, I'll just be interested to see if it feels any better just from cleaning. I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually improved it. It doesn't want to go back in though. There we go. It's a bit fiddly. Oh yeah, it's got to go through a little tight little slot there, that's why. Whoops. A bit hard to tell really, without the spring and key in place, but I guess I can probably grease it afterwards. Don't know if it's made a lot of differences. Chances are the plastic might be getting a bit worn as well, especially if it hasn't been lubricated, so I might put a little bit of grease on that. A little bit down the side, both sides I guess, and I dropped it on myself of course. do those faces, and obviously the magnet has to face the reed switch. Let's put it back together. Probably should give that key a clean first. But looks like it could do with a bit of refurbishment, and this will be probably a good one to have a go at retro brighting later on. I've got a few old telephones and stuff I want to practice on first and see if I can get it to work, and this sort of case would come up a lot better with a bit of retro brighting. But each of these keys cleaned up will also look good. Now the one problem is, which way around did it go? Was it equal on the bottom? I reckon it would have been. I can always take it off again. That's one thing I forgot to take note of. Always remember which way the key went, so it must be the thin part of that slot goes onto the actual key. Yeah, definitely they have a bit of friction. That is lovely. Still kind of harsh key in some regards, but yeah, these all feel like you can feel resistance when you press them, and that's quite clunky, or I don't know, it's got some sort of vibration in it. Much better. That's as smooth as now. So that's going to need a full refurb. A couple other things, I just had a quick look at it after the battery ran out last time. And these have got little labels on the back. E6505 is one type, that's that plus and minus one I think at the end. Or it's not even really a plus, is it? It's a 1 and a divide sign or something. And then these E6504s are all the other ones. And the other thing is, yeah, it's got Toshiba NEC-11 on it, so I'm not sure what that's about. PWB-08AC. Some other number up here. More flat blade screws. And what was the other thing? Oh yeah, this chip. I looked it up and it definitely is, I think the camera cut out right as I got to this, but it's got Toshiba on it. And it's a TMS, which I assumed is Texas Instruments, because it looks like they've scratched off the actual Texas Instruments thing there. I looked on this calculator site, they said the J means it's made in Japan, but if it is, why is the Texas Instrument? The other one also had it obliterated as well. Unless it was just something, don't know, why would you take the other branding off when it is their chip or their design? Seems a bit weird, but to me that looks like someone's actually scraped that off. I could be wrong, but I thought maybe it was just a misprint on this one, but the other one had been better obliterated than this one, so maybe it was just a bad print, I don't know, but a bit of a weird one. And yeah, that could do with a little bit of dirt cleaning out of there. There's something stuck on there. We've got some other number here, not much else to see really. They've labelled a few of the capacitors. These have got like pin numberings on the model. We've got 1P, 2P, 3P, right up to 12P. There's another little number down here. Oh, a couple of letters. IMA 01, although that might have more hidden under that display. This is just a plastic bracket, I guess, just to hold the... Yeah, it's got the little bits on little teat things on the top of the little nipple things where the tube has been sealed off and vacuumed, sticking up through the top there just to hold them in place, I guess. They seem to be more solid than that, but I guess that's because of the back. Oh, it's holding both sides, it's holding the back, so they're quite well held in there. But yeah, funny little things. Get this dust out of here. So we'll put the board back in, I guess. What I've got here, a bit of dodgy wires joined up in a... Why is there so many of them? Or insulator. I wonder if they're for different voltage inputs or something. Done in a bit of insulation tape, like, looks a bit amateur, but I meant to lift that switch right out, or what I do. Or do I just hold it up a bit? Not the easiest thing to put back together, really. I think I have to sort of put the switch in and slide this a bit under. Is that how it works? Board does not seem to want to come across, but that's probably because of the switch. Let's get the switch right out of the way. It probably just has to go under those wires, does it? Oh, we've got more wires. And of course we've got the connector there, should be on top, I guess. There we go. Yeah, slide it under the wires. And it just sits down in the base nicely. I think that had Phillips head screws in that switch, didn't it? One of the few places there were a couple. Yeah, funny little displays, that's for sure. So they look like a bit closer up. I can't really light more than one up because yeah, it's not very bright. At least when the camera dims down like that. Okay, so to get this apart, just a matter of getting a screwdriver under here and rocking it back and forwards until it sort of comes off, and then yeah, that little piece comes out, and just a matter of cleaning any old grease off it. Probably don't necessarily have to, but it won't hurt. It doesn't hurt to clean that hole out and the little slot. I guess ideally you'd really get something down in that slot, but the cotton bud should get rid of the worst of it. I don't know if there's really much in there, but... And I'll clean up that bit underneath while we can get to it, because you can sort of see that plenty of dust between all the keys, and yeah, there's no plastic in between them as part of the case, so that's all visible. But probably the safest way is just do one key at a time sort of thing. I think I can clean it all up just doing one at a time, rather than taking them all off and then having to get a picture or something of it and make sure I put them all back in the right spots. Get all that dust out of every little bit of this would be nice. It's got a lot in there. And get these little slots cleaned out. Don't know if you actually see that, but anyway, if you can get rid of all the dust, it's got to look a lot better, and it's not going to get back into the keys or anything. I think that brush is out its day. Yeah, it's looking a lot better than it was, and I've got to put a bit of grease back on. Obviously don't put it on the little top bit because that's where the key sits. You don't want that coming off again in a hurry. But these other bits, other two sections where it gets wider, probably should hold this in some pliers or something so I don't get grease all over me, but I'll just press the two bits together, I guess. Yeah, it's a lot nicer. Yeah, half the pressure to press than these other ones. These do offer quite a bit of resistance. And I guess if I just work my way down the keypad, shouldn't call it a keyboard really since it's only tiny, and we should be able to get them all back to original condition. Might even use the toothbrush on that. Get each key area done, and Yeah, it should come up fine. Amazingly dirty actually. It's stuck on there. I guess a bit of the grease from the actual keys is probably coming out the top and all the dirt's stuck to that. And get our little unit. Clean all that green greasy stuff off. Even a bit, yeah, there was a bit on the top of grease even, I think. Where the button sat. So it's going to be a rather repetitive job doing that 20 times or something, I guess. I don't know how many keys are on there, but a few. And yeah, that's the grease. Did I clean it? I don't think I actually cleaned the hole on this one, so I should give the hole a clean. Might as well get rid of any points of possible friction. Clean the little slots this metal thing runs in. Put the magnet back facing, spread it everywhere. Facing the reed switch. Now I've got grease all over me. But I think there's still plenty on there to do the job. Much nicer. So I'll go over and do the whole keypad, I think, and then clean up this front bit, the little holes there. All of it could do with a good scrubbing, I think. But much easier with the case apart than trying to find all the switches and stuff. That should come up a lot better looking with all that gone. What's on here? Is that a coating or isn't it? It's alright, I think. I thought that metal was covered in something, which I think they are little bits of metal. They might be plastic, but often they're little aluminium labels. Back in this era. Careful the end of the toothbrush doesn't scrape the plastic, I guess. That diffuser there, the green diffuser. Does that diffuser go? It actually unscrews. There you go. So you can actually get that out, and oh, look at the dust on the inside here too. My God, that's got right through. The diffuser's dirty on the back as well, but that can be taken out and fully cleaned. Might even be worth doing to get all the dust right down where it's meets the diffuser. Let's have a look. Does it come out? Yes, it slides out. Oh yeah, look at the muck on that. What have we got here? So it's thicker in, they've cut it down thinner in one part for some reason. But yeah, that's a lot of years of mess built up there. No doubt it's got some permanent scratches on the front. Now it is quite deeply set down there, so it's probably not too bad, but it does have a few by the look of it. No doubt a few fingernails or something would have been on it over the years. Oh, I'm going to do that. I better clean the actual hole itself while I'm doing it. Get rid of any dust around the edges of that. Yeah, it should come up a ton better because they are a good little dust collector, those little valleys where the display sits. How does this fit exactly? Got to put it in a bit. Yeah, that's it. good. Yeah, some fine scratches, but not bad. Yeah, that's a lot nicer looking. Still a little bit of muck there, but some sort of almost like varnish or something on there, so maybe it's got some sort of chemical stuff, paint, something, who knows what on there. It looks like something's on there. But I'll get this keyboard done and I'll have another look at it. Well, I end up, because I can't really access some of these keys, I ended up just pulling all the number keys out, so I'll do the whole lot at once. The rest of these peripheral ones are all working nicely again. And I guess one thing for people that don't know what a reed switch is, I mean, they're basically a magnetically operated switch. So every one of these little key bits we press on and that I'm greasing up has a magnet on it. And these little glass tubes, don't know which one's easiest to see here, but these little glass tubes have two like metal reeds, as they call them, probably related to like the reeds in instruments and stuff, but little flat pieces of metal basically. And they're sprung apart, so I think there's a gap between them. But I think they're normally open. Yeah, and when you bring a magnet next to them, the magnet basically attracts the metal and bends it. So I think in this case, as the magnet goes up, it drags it up. I'll see if I can make a good contact here. Maybe there's a little wonky, I don't know, is it just my connections? Might be some lacquer on this board. Well, we'll soon find out when we put it back together, but I think that's just me not making a great connection to the board. So yeah, they're normally open, and when you bring a magnet alongside, they close. Probably a bit hard to see, but it's only a very minute gap there. And that's how they work. So early keyboards, you'll find it in some computer keyboards, and for some reason they use these switches, possibly just because they're like, I think they're hermetically, well, they would be hermetically sealed, I guess, and I'm not sure, I don't think there's actual vacuum in there, but they're free from any dust and stuff. You don't normally see them tarnished or anything, so probably any atmospheric or whatever influences on there, as well as dust and stuff, doesn't get in there. So maybe they're just a better quality, and they thought they needed to do that because of the, you know, as you can see, plenty of dust and stuff going to be falling into keyboards, you know, crumbs off your fingers, skin flakes, you name it. So it might have just been over engineering in the early days. You don't seem to see it in any later stuff, but I think that's why they used them, just because they're ultra reliable. Probably is a bit of overkill, because they did make plenty of mechanical switch contact type keyboards that last perfectly well. So I'll get on with cleaning this and get it back together. Okay, a bit of a boring and repetitive job, but the keyboard's done. So much better. It was almost unusable the way it felt before. I mean, you could obviously use it, but if you had to type anything in quickly, you would not want to have done it on that keyboard. I did scrape a bit of this, some sort of lacquery stuff on this key, but it looks like it's got some cracks in the top bit, and one of these other keys, possibly that one's even cracked as well. I think the 4 or something had some stuff on the back, so I think someone's actually had to glue some bits back together. Possibly these key tops came off or something, the white bits, and I think that's why there's bits of it on other parts of the cabinet here, because they probably got it all over the place when they were doing it. So I think it's possibly had some small repairs done in the past. I think we can put this thing back together basically, and it's certainly much nicer to use. It's probably why it got chucked out in the end, because it just felt too bad to use at any speed anyway. But other than that, I mean, it's pretty impressive it's lasted that long. I mean, you can blame some of that on the dust that was in there. It was obviously used in a pretty dusty environment, and nobody obviously ever brushed the dust out of the keys or anything. I mean, you really got to do that occasionally, even in a fairly clean environment. Doesn't have to get a paintbrush in or something and just flick the worst of the dust out of there. And oh, that was a case screw. Better get that wire inside the case so we don't crush it. Oh yeah, we've got that little metal piece that's to slide down the back. That's actually kinked, no wonder it was a bit weird to get out. Do we put that in first maybe, and then, yeah, that must go in first I think, and then we've got to get this little switch through the hole. I think that's basically back together. Uh-oh, what have I done with the second knob? That's the next problem. I think that goes like that. Oh, there it is, hiding under the solder. That goes like that. Probably should have given those, yeah, those switches are a little tight. Could possibly do with a bit of contact cleaner. It's usable. It is a little tight. Sometimes they want pulling the bits and lubricating. You can actually get inside the switch, but you've got to be super careful that all the contacts and stuff don't fall out if you pull one of those to bits. Often a bit of switch cleaner lubricant will make the electrical contacts better, but won't make it run any better. Even though it's supposed to lubricate a bit, it doesn't do a lot. Sometimes it even makes them worse. Now the test is, do the keys actually work? Because I was having trouble with the multimeter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7 feels a little soft, but it works. It works every time. Yeah, clear. Clear. I think that was that the key I tested. It does seem a little bit reluctant to work at times. Yeah, that didn't work. Didn't work. Interesting. So maybe that switch is a bit dicky, the reed switch. Oh yeah, that's a bit intermittent. And look at that, I'm pressing and nothing. That was one I think I might have hooked across. That one's instant. Look at that, how many times have I pressed that and doesn't do a thing? Do I have to hold it down longer? Is that what I'm doing wrong? No, oh yeah, I just held it down and eventually, I think that reed switch is dicky. So much for reed switches being really good. Maybe with a bit of use it's getting better. Seems to be working now. That was a little slow. If I hold it a bit longer it seems a bit more reliable, so maybe I'm just hitting it too quick, but the other ones you can hit nice and quick. I mean, it is a calculator, you're meant to be able to punch in numbers quickly. It's working now most of the time. Or is it actually when I press it slightly sideways? If I push on that side, so there's a bit of play there I think. If I push that sort of inwards towards the other keys, no problem. If I push it outwards, it's no problem there. Well, it's going to make a liar of me. No, it's when it works, it works. It's working alright now. So there you go. That doesn't repeat. Two times 2 equals 4. Yeah, some of them if you keep pressing equals they will accumulate it up. We're doing all the binary multiples by the look of it. 4, 8, 16, yeah, 32, 64, 28, 56. So handy if you want to know all your binary stuff. Divided by 6 is 6. Well, I probably should have 6 divided by 2. Oh, that didn't work. Hey. Oh, what just happened? 36 divided by, that just changed to something weird happened then. I wonder if that divided by key, 36 divided by 2, it was actually coming up with I was sure that I put in 36 and I hit divide and it came up with 18. I must have had something still in memory, maybe that clear key didn't work. And we got minus 6 minus 3. Interesting, that little overflow thing comes up, or negative, or is it just something to do with being in negative mode, I think. Let's do 9 minus 3 equals 6, and here we hit it again. No, 0. So it looks like you can just maybe it just, you don't have to hit minus each time if it's, at least if it's the same number. 9 minus 3 minus, it goes to 12. Minus 10 minus, I didn't want to hit that, did I? Equals, and then go 12 equals 68. Oh yeah, so you just, that would be great in business or something. If you're doing, adding up a lot of stuff, you can just keep, hit negative once, that must be why it comes up on the display. You can just keep punching them in. Great. Power switch on the end. Standard Australian plug. Kawasaki. Yeah, so well, that's that done. So that's all going in order. At some stage I'll see if I can retro bright it. It does need a bit more of a clean, but that's good enough for now. So thanks for watching.